Good afternoon. We had started yesterday the different numerical methods, which we have taken first the bracketing method. So what is the feature of bracketing method and summary method? To follow the different method, we have only two methods. One of them is bracketing, other is not bracketing. One is not. What is that? It doesn't give you more accurate location, but it gives a broad map which to search further. And the second method what we saw was vision elimination method. So in this method, you can convert faster as compared to the first method, that is the exhaustive search method. So in this method, you can convert faster. And what we are seeing is the golden section method, where what is the advantage of golden section method? Yeah, it is precise because it falls in all vision elimination methods are meant for precision. But what is instead of any region elimination method, you require two internal points in that region. From iteration to iteration, you will have 2 points, but 1 point coordinates will always remain same as that in the previous iteration. So you don't have to compute the function value twice or two different points in every iteration. So that saves the computation time. So that is the main advantage. And we have seen what is the golden ratio. Anybody remember what is the ratio? 0.618. So that is got many other properties. But here we are using the property which allows us to do this calculation faster. Now we did not do the calculation part, so I just uploaded it in our Google Classroom. I'll just quickly go through the calculation so that you have any doubts you can ask now. So this is our yesterday's lecture. Okay, so this onward I did not discuss yesterday. So this is the actual algorithm using which you can do the code for the program. So the essential point here is the setting of the 2 points. So first you have to normalize the 2 ends of the bracket. So they may be 0 to 5, but you have to make them 0 to 1 so that this particular method can be more rapidly applied. We'll see at the end of this lecture one more solved problem where we'll be using this golden section method, and there this will be useful. Then evaluate these 2 function values and use the elimination rule. So one way to remember the elimination rule is that whichever is taller side, the adjacent part you have to cut off. So out of the 2 function values, whichever is taller value, the section corresponding, the outside section corresponding to that, you can chop off. So that is one way to remember it. And if you continue doing this, the convergence limit is in terms of some parameter epsilon that you have to decide at 1.01 precision. So as soon as your LW, that is the bracket size, becomes less than epsilon, then you can stop at that particular time. And this is a solved problem. So based on, again, golden section method. So we are minimizing the same function what we used for the earlier problem, that is exhaustive search. And the limits are A0, A and B as 0 and 5. And this is epsilon is 0.01. So first you have to normalize. So you have to define a new variable W, which is given by this formula. So in this case, it turns out to be x by 5. So if you substitute that, then AW and BW, that is A in terms of W, B in terms of W will become 0 and 1. And original length of the bracket becomes unity. And for the ease of calculation, it is better to write the function in terms of w. So it is 5 times x, so x square. So x means from this formula, x is equal to 5 times w. So it is 5w square plus 54 by x. So that is 54 by 5w. You have places for 3 people, or you can take this chair. One of you take this. The other one, this one is dirty. Put the bags there. Yeah. Okay, so you require at least 2 more benches. We have 34 students, and we are having 30 benches, 31. So 3 are allowed to remain absent. So for them, we are recording. Okay, so from next week after T1, we may arrange for benches. Okay, so the point to be remembered is that you have to convert to W, and then you have to proceed in the region elimination scheme. So you have to calculate at W1 the value of the function. So this is W1 and W2, the two coordinates 618 and 382, and you calculate the function value. So at W1 the value is smaller, and at W2 the value is larger. So whichever side you are having the taller side, so that region you can eliminate. So that way you can remember. So the next section becomes smaller. So W1 there is 0.7. Again, you find W1, W2, you always find that is the new W2 matches with the earlier W1. It will not match W2 to W1. One of them will match with the previous one. So that is how we will be doing this calculation. Okay, so that is till yesterday. Now let's move to today's class. So we look into third method, which is used for univariable optimization, and that is called as there are different types of methods. So we are taking only one sample method. If you look into the book by date, you will find that many other algorithms are explained under each category. So you can try out others if you want in your project work. So the next methods are gradient-based methods. So in the gradient-based method, the method what we are going to see is known as bisection method. So in this method, what we are doing is, again, first we will be setting out a bracket within which we assume that the minima lies. We have the 2 points, which is A and B. So we know that within these two limits, the minima is lying. This particular method is gradient based. That means it is a slope based. So at the beginning, we have to ensure that the slope at point A is negative. So f dash of A is smaller than 0, and the slope at B is positive. So this is f dash of B is greater than 0. So this will ensure that the minima lies in between both slopes are of the same side. So for example, if you have to A and B are such that both are negative, then there is a less like, or there is, if only one minima is there, the minima cannot lie in this particular region. So one has to be positive, and the slope has to become from negative to 0, and then it should become positive. So that is why those two limits we are keeping. Now, as the name suggests, the third point that we are taking is the bisection or midpoint of A and B. So we consider the third point as the midpoint. So let me shoot the minima away from them. So the third point we will get at this particular point, and you will compute the gradient of the function at this particular point, and based on that you will decide. So can you visualize and tell what would be the condition? So this is after you decide the slope at the midpoint, you will chop off either left or right part and then take then your result will get ready. So what will be the condition that you will look for?
If the slope will be less than 0, you will top the left.
Right. And if it is greater than 0, then right side. So in this case, the way I have drawn, the minima is lying here. So assuming that there is only one minima, necessarily the slope here will be negative. So in that case, you can chop off this much section, you can chop off, and your new region would become from here to there. This is the new A dash, and the B remains as it is. You take new midpoint, and at the new midpoint, you find the slope is positive. So what you will do in this case, the right side you will be chopping off. So we will chop off this, so you will get this region. So this is the way you will do the computation, and your region, search region will keep on shrinking, and finally you will reach to the minima point. Now, since you are doing numerical calculations here, you should know how to calculate the derivative numerically. So that you must have done one of the courses. So does anybody know how to calculate slope of a function numerically? So let's say you have a function, the same function, x squared plus x by 54 by x. And you want to find the slope of this function, let's say at x equal to 5. So what is f dash x you want to determine? Derivative? Yeah, that is analytical method. In fact, human brain can do derivation. But numerically, how to calculate the slope at x equal to 5? We have to use the definition of derivative, which we are not long by. Yeah. So he has given some clue to you.
1b minus b, 5 minus z.
Okay.
F of x plus h minus f of x upon h.
That's right. So that is the basic definition you must have done in higher secondary. So f dash x is defined as f of x plus h minus f of x divided by h, where h is there is some property of h. H is the string, that's right. But how much should be the value of h to be taken? If x equal to 5, then h should be how much?
Difference between the x value of
No, I understood what you are saying. So h tends to 0. So limiting h tends to 0 will give you the accurate value. The smaller the value of h you will take, the more accurate answer you will get. So this h value, typically in our calculations, we are considering at 0.01 times x. It could be anything. I'm just taking it 1% of the x value. So that will be sufficiently small to give more accurate answer. So this particular method of calculating the derivative is known as positive difference method. Or rather, not positive, it is called forward difference method. Which gets corrected, it's not positive, it is forward difference method. And there is a backward difference method in which instead of x plus h, you consider x minus h. And there is a middle path which is more accurate. So which is what we will be using. So what we will be using for the derivative is f of x plus h minus f of x minus h divided by what should be here? Divided by 2. So this, out of this forward, backward, and this particular method, this method is more accurate, and That is what we will be using in our calculation. So now we have the tools ready. So we know how the algorithm should work, and we also know numerically how to calculate the slope of a function at any x value. So using this method, now we can work out with further things. So let me give you the algorithm. Okay, this method is called as a central difference method. I was not recollecting the name. So this is called as the central difference method, which we'll be using. So there are series in formula. If you look into finite difference methods, if you search on the Google, you will find how to calculate the further derivatives also. So not only the first order derivative, you can calculate f double dash, f triple dash. So they are known as finite difference method, and using that, means the entire branch of mathematics will find that finite difference based methods, finite difference based methods for doing the calculations. So it is very similar to the finite element based methods. Not very similar, but it is parallel to that way of doing numerical computations for engineering problems. So whatever problems you can solve using finite element methods, you can solve some category of problems more efficiently using the finite difference method. So this is just opening window for finite difference method that we are using here. Okay, so let me write the algorithm so that it can be programmed. So first choose the point so that the slopes are opposite signs at either of the way. And choose termination parameters. So in all numerical method, you require some step how to means to determine where to terminate. So that I'm calling it epsilon. So it will be in terms of the previous region elimination method, what should be the width of the region. So that could be the limiting method. In this case, this epsilon we are treating as what is the final slope value at the midpoint. So we can go ahead with epsilon as the width of the narrow region that we are getting. So that is one way. In this particular case, we are considering epsilon as the final value of the slope. So at the minimum, we know that what should be the value of slope at minimum? F dash x, it should be 0. So this epsilon should be as close to 0. So rather than looking at the width, you can look at the slope value. And if you hit upon the, means your region may be bigger, but by chance or by luck, your midpoint happens to be the very close to the minima. So you can stop at that point itself. If you hit upon by chance on the minima point, you can stop at that moment only, rather than shrinking the space further and further. Okay, and this step itself, we are having x1 equal to a and x2 equal to b. So in the second step, we will introduce the midpoint. So we are calling that as z, which is x1 plus x2 by 2, and evaluate f dash of z. So this will be computing by f of x, z plus h minus f of z minus h divided by 2h. And h can be any number which is approaching to the 0, but it should be sufficiently smaller than x. So usually no, I would take it as 0.01 times x, but in this case z. So remember that this is just I'm considering it. You can consider anything that seems appropriate. So as we said earlier, first we will calculate what is the value of the slope. If it is sufficiently close to 0, then we have hit upon the minima and we'll stop then and there only. Otherwise, we'll have to check what is the whether the slope is positive or negative, and accordingly decide which region to be eliminated. So if f dash x, f dash z is negative, so negative side is always on the left. So we are setting then x1 is your left limit, x2 is the right limit. So x1 would be z if the slope is negative, and if f dash z is positive, then set x2 equal to z. So this we have already discussed, so I'm just not elaborating further. Okay, let's take one numerical problem which will illustrate this particular thing. You already understood this thing. These notes anyway I'll be giving, so you need not. Anyway, you have to practice writing because now you have to write exam of within the given time. Yeah, you can make practice of writing. So in the meantime, let me write the example. Any doubt? What the critical part here to be understood is which region to eliminate. So these conditions are the important ones. So negative means left side you chop off, positive means right side chop. Okay, let's take the problems. The function remains same, and we are taking the a and b limits as 2 to 5. So first we have to ensure that the slopes are positive and negative on either side. So f dash of a should be positive or negative. It should be negative. The left side should be negative, right side should be positive. What will happen if the other side, if the left hand side is positive, right hand side is negative? What will that indicate? It has got a maximum. That's right. So since we are searching for minima, we are setting up this. Okay, so f dash a is, so we have to calculate it. So okay, so we know that central difference formula is f of x plus h minus f of x minus h divided by 2h. So what value of h will be, as I already told, it should be 0.01 times x. So h value will be how much? We are calculating slope at x equal to 2. 0.01 multiplied by 2. So that is 0.02. So this value on the denominator will be 2 times 0.02. So again, I am repeating that this 0.01 has nothing sacrosanct about it. So you can choose any small number, but it should be sufficiently small than x value. Okay, then what should be the first term? F of x plus h? 2.02, that's right. That is 2 plus h. And what would be the subtracting value? It should be 1.98. We have to evaluate it. So as you can see, in the previous methods, the advantage was that you have to calculate only function value. Here, in order to calculate one derivative value, you have to evaluate function twice. So it is any derivatives you are calculating, it is computationally more intensive methods. If you substitute these values, you will get this number. So you expect this number to be negative, and it happens to be negative. So this value turns out to be minus 9.501. Okay, now you tell me what should be the formula for determining f dash at b. So b value is 5. What should be first number? H value we are considering as 0.01. Sorry, H value we are considering as 0.01 times x. Whatever x you are calculating, 1% of that I am considering as H value. So can you tell what is the second formula function? What will be f of x plus h in this case? And what would be the other value? And the value of the, and on the denominator you will have 0.05. You just calculate and tell me what is the value, because I think I have done some mistake there. So it will, you will get some positive number there. 7.8. So next we have to calculate z at this particular point, at the midpoint of your region. So that is x1 plus x2 divided by 2. So that would be 3.5. So f dash of z would be f of 3.5 plus 0.01 times 3.5 minus f of 3.5 minus 0.01 times 3.5. Now, if you are doing programming, this particular part would become straight away, means you don't have to bother. But if you are doing these calculations in the exam, for every point, if you have to calculate this incremental number different, it can be tedious. So in the exams, otherwise also I can allow you that you can use a fixed increment for all computations. So you did not take 3.5 plus 0.01 times 3.5. For all calculations, you can assume whatever is the smaller number. So 0.02, you can consider 0.02 in all the calculations. You get the similar answer. What is epsilon? The determination parameter. Okay.
So what happens is if I make here then the value is that would be something like 1.
Right.
Then if I take that 1 from 3, the difference is the same. Then they have to go for the all the same. So the number starts at second.
Okay, so what we are saying is this h value should be function of a minus b rather than absolute value of a. Okay, how it will help? Okay, so anybody want to comment on what they might perform? So Samit had suggested rather than considering 1% of the value, to consider as whatever is the width of your agent, some percent of that.
It's okay.
Understood. So 100 and 103, what number schedule, the width becomes 3 units. If you take 1% of 100, it becomes 1 unit, which is very broad compared to whatever region we have searched. I think that would be still be okay. Considering 1% of the local value, variable value. Anybody wants to comment? I think it won't make difference.
Let's say first 1,000, 1,000.
No, I understand. It's what we are considering is your 100 and 103. Your slope at this point and at this point will vary very slightly. If this point is when you are taking, I think it should not matter. It's what you are doing here is you are considering function value at this point and function value at this point, taking difference of them and dividing by this width. What you are saying, if this band is smaller, you should consider this band also smaller. But there is no reason for that. No? In slope calculation and your band are two different things. They are not related to each other. Which your search space is 1 micron, but for slope calculation you can consider 1 millimeter as the h value. The slope value is independent of the search space, width of the search space. So I think what point you are saying that there is some relation between slope and search width, but which is not correct. So you have to consider slope has nothing to do with how much, whether you are searching for 1 kilometer or searching for 1 millimeter. Slope calculation of slope is independent of that search. So let's move ahead. So this f dash z. So in the meantime, somebody has calculated. So it will be 2.57. It is plus or minus? Okay, so it is plus. So which means what is our new x1 and x2? So earlier x1 was, we did not write it. So x1 was 2 and x2 was pi. So now we have to change the value of x1 and x2. So what will be the new value? X1 will remain same. The positive side band you will have to chop off. And S2 will become 3.5. And you continue in the same fashion. So I'm not giving the further calculations in the sense. I think this calculation illustrates what is the way it has to go. And then you have to continue in the similar fashion. So in the exam, you will expect to get only one iteration. You need not find the minima in the exam. You have to illustrate how this particular algorithm works. So that is what. So now we have seen three methods. So we have seen the exhaustive search method, which is used to find broad brackets. Then we have seen two methods. One is the burden section method, which is based on region elimination. And then we have seen the bisection method, which is based on the gradient type of method. So in each category, there are many other methods which you can refer to the textbook, and depending on your problem type, you can choose either of them. Okay, now, all these methods are limited to single variable functions, whereas all our real life problems will be multiple variable functions. So how to apply these methods to multiple variable functions? That is what we will see next. So that is more practical use, and that is what we will see next. I'll just give some clues, and you should be able to tell me how to do it. So in the calculus bus method, we had the gradient and Hessian matrix based on which we handle these multivariable functions. And in this particular case, the trick that we'll be doing is we'll be converting the multivariable function into a single variable function. The way we'll do it, I will just explain now. In the method of, or the technique of converting the multivariable function into a single variable function for searching the minima is called as a unidirectional search. So that means, for example, if you are trying to search some function, so let's take our regular function, a circle with a minima at its center point, and it is broadening as we move away, and you are trying to find out where this minima is there. So initially you will take some starting point. So let's say this is my starting point. In this particular method, what is done is that you, in addition to the starting point, you also take one arbitrary search direction. Later on, we'll see that this direction will not be arbitrary. There will have some logic to that direction. So when you take this some direction, let's call it S bar, indicating it's a vector. So the dimension of the vector will be same as the dimension of your problem. So if you move along this particular vector, the way this particular method works is that with respect to this start point, you search this function along this direction only. So you keep on searching along the points on this line. So at this point, you will get larger value. As you move ahead, you will get smaller value. So at point 1, it is large, 2, it is small, 3, it is further small. And if you go to 4, you'll find that it is again increasing. So along this particular line, somewhere this line will be tangent to one of this, assuming this function to be circle. So it will tangent to one of the circle, and that circle, the function value corresponding to that circle will be your minima value in this particular direction. So once you reach there, then you have to search, you have to find out another direction. So you search along the new direction and again find out the minima in that direction, and you keep on iterating in this manner, and finally you will end up in the local minima. Unless the function is highly complicated or very much fluctuating, in this method you will it can be proved that it will converge to the global minima if you follow this particular procedure. So this is one technique, and in this particular method, when you are searching in this direction, that's why the name unidirectional. So you are searching in unidirectional. So in this searching method, you are converting your multivariable function into a single variable function. How it is done, we will see just now. And then the earlier methods that we have studied just now, they can be applied. So let's see how this method works. So in 2 dimensions, for example, this point will have value x1 and x2. So this can be written as a vector x bar t, which is the matrix form will be column vector x1 and x2. So that is the starting point. In 3-dimensional, it will be x1, x2, x3, and so on. So if it is multiple dimension, then you get multiple direction vector. And S bar t will be another vector you will require. So one is the starting point and another is the direction in which we are searching. So these are the two vectors we will require. Now, since we will be searching along this point, what we will do is we will define some parameter alpha. That is the distance between our start point and the point at a distance alpha from this starting point. So alpha is a variable. So at any alpha value, we will find some particular coordinates of the point along this line, and that will be our search point. So by this mean, we can express any point on this line in terms of just one variable, that is alpha. So once we know the starting point at a search direction, we'll see that any point on this line can be expressed purely based on alpha. So all your x1, x2, x3 can be expressed in terms of alpha, and then your function also can be expressed in terms of alpha. So let's see how it is done. So any point on the line starting at x bar t. So this t is to indicate the iteration number. So in the first iteration, the starting point is x bar 1. The second iteration, it is x bar 2, and so on. So that is just the nomenclature that I'm explaining. Okay, can you guess what would be the value of this coordinate at a distance alpha along S? So it will be starting point plus something. It can be written, I understand, but in terms of alpha, how do you write? So as I said, alpha is the distance along this line. So don't consider it as a distance, then you get confused. But alpha is along that particular line. So alpha of that second quantity is consisting of alpha and S. It's S bar. So you are ready. This is your starting point and this is your vector direction. So you are trying to predict all the points along this line.
Alpha S bar t.
Alpha into S bar t. So any point along this particular vector can be represented in terms of proportionate to the distance. So small distance means small alpha multiplied by this magnitude of this vector. So that will take you to the new point. And if alpha is larger, then you will reach the further point. So that is how you will do that. So it is alpha times S bar of t. So in this manner, you will get, so if it is, it's your earlier vector is x1 and x2, what you will get after this operation is x1 is your new vectors. So let's call them x1 dash and x2 dash. So those will be given as x1 plus alpha times s1 and x2 plus alpha times s2, for example. Yeah, if alpha is negative, then you will go in the opposite direction. which point? Point 1, it will be positive. If you are moving along the vector direction, then it will be increment along the vector direction.
But on the vector.
So here function doesn't come in picture. We are just with respect to starting point, we are finding another point which is along a particular direction. So we are not yet introduced function at this point. We are just introduced some method by which any point along a particular direction can be written in terms of a single parameter. So since your function x1, x2 are varying infinitely in your space, out of that we are only searching along a particular direction. So those coordinates, then you don't require both x1 and x2. Since you have fixed the direction, you can only specify how much distance from starting point, and then you'll get the two coordinates. So that is right. Otherwise, you have to increment x1 by alpha 1 and x2 by alpha 2, and then exhaustive search like you have to keep on searching. In this case, by taking only single parameter, you can, from the first point at a distance alpha, you get a second point. So the new point can be written only in terms of alpha rather than alpha 1 and alpha 2. So that is the advantage. When we take numerical problem, this particular thing will get more clear. Where alpha is the scalar quantity, so alpha is not a vector. So it is written here that it is a relative distance. So it will be perfect distance if S bar happens to be a unit vector. So if it is S bar is a unit vector, in that case, the distance will be exact distance. Means alpha would represent the exact distance. But if it is not unit vector, it will be some multiple of the distance. And once we have done this particular case, so we have written x vector in terms of alpha. So you will get all the variables in terms of alpha. Then the function, your function which you are trying to optimize, can be written in terms of this x alpha. Okay, so let's take a numerical problem which will illustrate this particular case. So now since we are expressing f of x bar, which was earlier multivariable function, it will be now only a function of alpha. And then we can apply the earlier methods. So you can apply either bisection method or the regional elimination, that is golden section method, to find the minima of this particular case. So let's take a numerical problem which will very well explain these things. Any questions at this point? I think we'll take numerical problem where you may have more specific questions. So we'll take our standard function, that is the equation of a circle. So what you have considered here is with respect to, if we are trying to minimize this function, so this function will have minima, we know that at 10, 10, x1 equal to 10, x2 equal to 10, it will have minimum value, that is 0. And then the contours of this function would be in this particular manner. So we have taken one starting point which is at 2, 1. So that is just proportionately mark that particular point, and we are searching along a line. So is the direction is given in terms of when x increments by 2, y increments by 5. So we have slope which is in this manner. So this particular slope. So x is 2 unit, y is 5 units. So you can. So that is how the information has been given to you. So you have to search along this particular point. So we should reach to the tangent point of the objective function wherever it will go. So the first part will convert this multivariable function into single variable function. So we'll use our condition. So we'll get x bar of alpha, that is the x vector, the design variable vector written in terms of a single design variable alpha. So x is 2, 1 plus alpha times 2, 5. What we got here is, instead of the x1 and x2, we have got two new variables. So this is corresponding to x1 and this is corresponding to x2. So the point which is at a distance or relative distance alpha from the starting point is having the coordinates which are given in terms of alpha. So instead of searching in two-dimensional space, now we are searching in one-dimensional space, and so our problem gets converted to alpha. Now, how do we use this to rewrite our function in terms of alpha? So can somebody tell? So our function is f of x equal to x1 minus 10 squared plus x2 minus 10 squared. So when that is in two-dimensional space, but in the alpha space, that is when you are searching along a particular line, this function can be written in terms of alpha. So can you think and tell how it can be done? Substitute x1 and x2 with the values which are given in terms of alpha. So we'll substitute in this function x1 equal to 2 plus 2 alpha minus 10 the whole square plus 1 plus 5 alpha minus 10 the whole square. So what essentially we have done, we have transformed our function into another function, but note that this function is now not spanning the actual design space. It is only now searching along a particular line. So it will not find the exact minima, but along a narrow groove in our design space. So design the minima like that 10, 10. But this line is not obviously passing through 10, 10. So to find minima which is along a particular line. So once you reach that new minima, then you have to find another search direction and keep on repeating this particular case. So note that the function that we obtained here is not it is not the actual function. It is some transformation which will make us closer to the minima point than what we had earlier. Okay, so once we do this, so this will become 2 alpha minus 8 the whole square. phi alpha minus 9 the whole square. Once we achieve this, the further part is exactly same as what we did earlier. So in this particular method, or in this particular illustrative problem, I'll be first bracketing the minima, that is what value of alpha 1 and alpha 2 the minima will lie by using exhaustive search, and then I will use golden section method to calculate the minima within that particular subset. So as we did yesterday, those particular calculation steps, I will just submit offline because they are just repetitive of the calculations what we did earlier. So no point in just writing that. So once, if you have any doubt on that, then you tell me about this.
Okay.